We are delighted to be joined by the 1992 Rookie of the Year on the PGA Tour. He beat out Phil Mickelson for the honor. Mark Carnevale is with us. It is officially called the Arnold Palmer Award. Carney, thank you so much for your time, my friend. Where are you at right now? It kind of looks cool. When we were setting it up, I saw a Masters poster behind you. I saw a signed pin flag. Where do they have you?
We're at a house just, probably maybe not even a half a mile from the TV compound right along the Pinehurst number 4 golf course. So very convenient this week. A bunch of us staying in this house. So it's, looking forward to the week for sure.
Are you're doing so much media, Carn, on so many different platforms. Are you doing radio or TV or some combination this week? What's your assignment?
I'll be the analyst for our play-by-play coverage in the afternoon on Sirius XM from 2 to 7 p.m. every day. Brian Katrick and I will be sitting and anchoring that down, and so I'll be. I don't have to go out and brave the heat this week, which is kind of a nice reprieve after basically all year long being out on the golf course. So it'll be nice to be in the analyst role this week.
That does sound like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that coverage. That coverage, folks, 2 to 7 p.m. Is Eastern time. We should note as well if you want to get the national satellite coverage on Sirius XM throughout the course of the week. Okay, so first big question I have for you, Carney, is right now on the eve of this 124th U.S. Open, what's the vibe? What are you feeling out there?
Essentially, I literally walked 10 holes yesterday. I'm going to go out and finish the other 8 today. It's going to be interesting. I haven't been here since and so it's been a while since I've been on property since the redo by Ben Crenshaw and Bill Corr. Boy, it looks a lot different. And the good thing is I was out there walking yesterday, and I actually happened to catch up with Rory McIlroy, who was out on the golf course, and we talked a little bit about it. And he said a lot of the exterior sort of native areas have grown up a little bit since the last time they were here in 2014. But the golf course gives you plenty of room. So, he liked that. It was firm. It's fast. It's going to be very interesting. I saw a lot of players spending a lot of time around these unbelievable green complexes, various different shots, fairway middles, long irons, wedges. It's going to a lot of runoff on these greens. As people who have followed this game and know anything about Pinehurst number 2, they're almost like turtleback. Everything has a runoff to it, and it's going to be interesting. And again, there's plenty of room out there, and without question, I think it favors a longer player. But if you can control your golf ball both off the tee and with your approach shots, that's going to be a huge advantage. The green speeds looked really good. The golf course looked to be in spectacular shape. So I'm very much looking forward to this week.
When you were doing those observations and chatting with Rory McIlroy, I'm sure amongst others, what are your thoughts in terms of the speed of the greens? Obviously, we've heard comments about that early in the week, but given the fact that as we were hearing these comments from Monday, from Tuesday, now we're into Wednesday morning, what does that kind of foretell for what lies in store when tournament proper kicks in?
You're going to have to be pretty precise. I mean, your speed, I think lag putting is going to be a big key this week. Particularly a lot of these green complexes kind of go from back to front. And of course you have all those side edges too. I saw Jason Day was on a particular hole. I think it was the 4th hole, and he was hitting some shots from behind the green, and he used a number of different clubs, but it's just because the slopes are pretty severe around the edges. It's going to be interesting. And, while these green surfaces and complexes are pretty large, the putting areas are not quite as large. And I think that's what comes into play with the approach shots. You better miss it in the correct space. But I think certainly up and downs, scrambling is going to be very important this week, as we've seen certainly over the years that it's been held here. But the greens are very fast. I mean, I don't know the exact speeds of them, but they were pretty fast out there watching players putt. And it's unfortunate. It was kind of I was out there. If I don't know if I could play a practice round these days, Matty, because guys were just around the green and they were forever and ever and ever. And, 9 holes probably takes you 3 to 3.5 hours to play. And I get it. And you're trying to practice under the conditions of the actual golf course, not on the practice areas. So you're trying to get that experience. But I don't know how many practice rounds I would play if I was still playing professional golf. Just because
Well, Carney,
it's almost mind bending out there. What's that?
notwithstanding the amount of time that it's taken to play those practice rounds, I have to tell you, I would love to see you. I'd love to play this golf course with you right now because of your short game and the way you work it. You just mentioned something that I want to dial in a little bit. I realize you already talked about it some, but I want to get into more detail. Where you said scrambling is going to be really important. And generally, when we talk about scrambling at this level, we all have a pretty good idea of what it takes to execute the same. But at Pinehurst, it seems like the rules change. How much creativity and variety do you think you're going to see around these greens?
I think you're going to see a lot, and I think it's going to be changed. I mean, depending on the situation, depending on maybe how much green you have and how much area you have and what's beyond it is going to be very important. And players are probably going to have to be a little more conservative because you can start playing ping pong on these greens pretty easily. That's why I said I think you see players are going to practice and certainly implement a number of different clubs, anything from wedges, again, to fairway metals, to hybrids, and they may not be consistent with it. I know when Mark Keimer won here, it was putter. That's probably the safest play, but we know how aggressive these guys can be. So I think that's going to be interesting. But I think you're going to see, as people watch this week, you'll see players using all sorts of their clubs. There's 14 clubs in the bag, and you're probably going to see all of them use maybe everything except that driver. Of course, you may even see some use a driver. Who knows? Whatever feels comfortable, whatever you have the confidence with. And I think that's the beauty of it, because it does take an imagination. It does take creativity, which in most cases on the PGA Tour, when you see players miss greens, they immediately go to a lofted wedge. I don't know how much you're going to see that this week. You'll certainly see it in some circumstances, but I think you're going to see it a lot less. You'll see other clubs, I think, implemented more this week than just that lofted wedge.
Our guest is Mark Carnevale. He is the 1992 PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. That's the Arnold Palmer Award. And Carney, I can tell you, we have a live studio audience surrounding us here from the PGA Tour Superstore in Raleigh. Barry and Fred have said to say hello to you. They're waving away in the background because they know Mark Carnevale's on was right now, and he knows these two gents. The last time the four of us were together, Carn, if you remember, was at the Old Course of St. Andrews, which fittingly Pinehurst bills itself as the St. Andrews of the USA.
Yeah, I could see that. I could certainly pass on my well wishes to them. It's interesting, and again, it's you look back. What is it in the history of the event being held here? Sorry, someone was knocking at the door. The history of the event being held here. Was it 4 people have been under par? Is that Payne Stewart was 1 under? I think there was it when Michael Campbell won, it was over par. He won it over par, and I want to say last time there was 2 or 3 maybe under par at the most when Martin Keimer won. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the trend. We know equipment and the players have gotten better over the years, and certainly they've improved on that. But we rarely get a chance to see where even par truly is a good score.
Awesome stuff, Carney. May I burden you to ask for a player or two that you feel might be in perfect form this week? I imagine that it's going to be world number 1, but why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Scotty Scheffler. And it's just impressive. And I think most importantly, I think he has the right demeanor on this golf course. I think, and I think Rory has continued to play well. He didn't play particularly well over the weekend last week at Memorial, but I think there's some freedom, I think, with Rory, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he was there. I just think it's difficult. We always know in U.S. Opens there's going to be sort of an unknown that's always there, certainly around the first round and maybe even the second round. It's just that's just the common sort of trend of it. And I think that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could go against him. I think it's so good, and I know we've talked about it, and people have been comparing Scotty to Tiger. Obviously, we can't get there yet with the number of wins, but the way he approaches the game, the way he lets others come back to him, and he's even though last week he makes triple bogey on the ninth hole there in the third round, but I think what is impressive to me about him is that he, like Jack Nicklaus did, like Tiger Woods did, he kind of just hangs around and he lets the others make the mistakes. And I think that's key, and that's, I think, obviously part of his success.
It's impressive, Carney. So too with the coverage that you provide, as I mentioned, regardless of the medium, because he's on many of that such. He will this week be lead analyst in the afternoon. He stays on there with BK on Sirius XM Radio. That is U.S. Open Radio this week, the official moniker. I will be listening. I will be enjoying, as we always do, to have you on this program as well, Carney, for your insights. Thank you for that. Thank you for your time, and I wish you the very, very best this week and a lot of fun.
Always my pleasure, Matty. Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks.